Delayed by a week. Well, at least delayed by us by a week. But here we go with a pretty big weekend of racing. We got the Dubai World Cup. We're covering every race but race number one.
That's your race.
That's my.
You're covering that one.
Yeah. Pick the 1, 2, 3.
You're such an expert on the Arabian horses. I figured you would definitely have the winner out of that bunch.
Oh, yes. Just get the one that hits the. My son used to ask me all the time when he was a kid, was interested in sports. He'd be like, Daddy, who's going to win the Cubs game? Or whatever game was going to be of his interest that week. And I'd say, I know who the winner is going to be. And I'd build it up. And at the very end, I'd go, the team that scores the most points. And he would get so mad at me. So I know who's going to win that Arabian race, the one that hits the finish line first, Thomas.
I hope so.
Yes, indeed. Well, you never know. Sometimes they get DQ'd. That's maximum security.
Yeah, well, I know you prefer the paints and the Appaloosa racing over the Arabian.
My personal one is the ostrich racing with people on the backs of the ostriches. I actually want to be the jockey in one of those one of these days. I think that would be it. At that point in time, I have nothing left to accomplish. All of my bucket list items will have been achieved, and time to go on to the next life. But in any case, free track tonight, guaranteed tip sheet at Charlestown Racing. It is the American equivalent of the Grand National. There's no idea what's going to go on. So you can go ahead and get that over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. Link in the description below. And of course, tonight, I'll post up all of our picks along with our thoughts for all of the Dubai World Cup races and the Grand National Race, which is 4 miles and 35 hurdles or some craziness, Tom?
30 hurdles and 4.5 miles roughly.
It's a long one. Which one do you want to do first?
I think we should start with Dubai.
You want to start with Dubai and end up with the Grand National? All right.
Well, yeah, that's got the biggest field.
Yeah, well, that might be why we want to go first, to get the pain out of the way, Thomas, as they say, right?
Yes, but you know what you have for the Grand National, very important thing. You've got the predictor.
Oh, we do have. I was wondering if we had
not for the Dubai races, but for the predictor. It does work on the Grand National.
Well, we're the predictor, Thomas, and we won't have any conflicts with the predictor for the end. I'm interested. We should put like a bet. All right, everybody in the comment section. There's 35 horses running in the Grand National?
Yeah. No, 34.
How many?
34.
How many Tom and I are going to have that are anywhere remotely close? I think I might have one that's going to be up there.
That's the best I've done. Well, usually out of my 5 picks is one. And it's usually not in the first 3 spots.
Well, I'm curious how many
they pay low. They pay down. I mean, they pay in the lower spots too. So just depends on what your provider is offering.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how many the predictor agrees with us on. All right. Well, anyway, let's go to the Dubai World Cup. This is where all the money is at. We're going to start off with race number 2 because, I already told you, pick the winner in the Arabian race in race number 1. But the first one is the Dubai Gold Cup, sponsored by Al Tayer Motors. Wonder what they sell there. That one's going to be 2 miles, Thomas, on the turf race. So if we go over here to Maidan, the turf race, 2 miles. Okay, how far?
Start finish.
It's going to start here.
Past the start finish. Go all the way into the chute.
All the way back here?
Yeah, you're 3,200 meters.
32. Okay, they're going to start here and then they're going to come around. Are they going to go twice?
No, just once.
Just once? Oh, yeah, because this is a straightaway. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, it's a straightaway. That's where the 6 furlong races run.
So starting here, coming around, so long run, then 2 turns. I would imagine in this case, Tom, you probably want horses that are going to have at least some good stamina, some strong late legs, but still manage to get decent position so they're not too far behind.
You would hope they wouldn't be too far behind.
Is that track, if I remember correctly, a little heavy, right?
Yeah, it's a little deeper, but it's also, we're going to have, good firm conditions in Dubai. We're not going to see soft track. So preference here is horses that like that type of going and want a little deeper, a little more cushion in the track.
And who do you think is going to enjoy that deeper cushioning in the track the most?
Well, I'm going to start with 8. Trawler Man is my top choice. His last run was at Ascot, and it was at this distance, and he ran 3rd, and he ran 3rd too Cryptos. Well, he's pretty good. He's won a lot of races. And the race before that, he ran second to him. So he ran third in this race last year. So he's consistent. But one of the advantages, there's not that horse running in this race, which I think does help a lot. And the odds kind of reflect that. Get William Gosden and Buick. That's not a bad combination. I'm going to go with 3. Double Major is my next choice. Prep race was on the all-weather at Chantilly. Ran second. That was a 2,700-meter race. He was lucky to see the back end of that horse at Longchamp by 22 lengths. So, yeah, I think he'll improve off that. He does have a Group 1 win at St. Cloud, so he's up in that level. And again, I think not seeing that horse here, it probably helps a lot. Finally, I'm going to take number 9, Terms of Endearment. A bit of a price, I hope. She's never competed at this distance, but she's won group races. I picked her because I made a trader change. William Haggis picked her up, and he generally knows how to win. And he's going to use his stable rider, Tom Marquette, who also knows how to win. And I was trying to come up with a good reason why they would enter her. Well, he must have seen something suggesting that she'll like some distance. And that's why I'm like the price, and I felt like I needed to put her on there in my ticket.
So I'm going to start with the horse that you mentioned. Double Major is going to be my first pick. And the reason why Double Major is going to get that top call for me, the horse has 7 W's on its resume. The last 3 when the horse made a second start after a layoff, which is the situation today. So I think they put that one out, get it oiled up with the target for the next start. That's today. Dubai Future, right underneath it, another 8-1, kind of going in the some wrong direction. Started off at 15-2 or 7.5-1, 8-1 now. I think you're going to get a boom or bust race coming. This horse ran really well in its first race after about 14 months off. And those horses either come back and build on that nicely or they bust on that. So I'm fingers crossed for the boom and not the bust. Trawler Man, the one you put on top, Thomas, I have in my 3rd spot. I just felt like he's the quintessential Tom horse. I think he really strong chance to finish in the money, but I wonder if he's going to be able to win. And then finally, Continuous, the 2 horse, is my final selection in here. This is an Aidan O'Brien horse. Curious Thomas, Dylan Brown McGonnelly, or whatever. McGonnelly. I don't know. Are you familiar with that jockey?
Yeah, he's one of those stable jockeys. He's one of the ones that they put on what you would call the lesser horses. Wayne Lorden is number 2, and guess who's number 1?
Well, Ryan Moore is clearly number 1.
Ryan Moore is number 1, yeah.
So I think without Ryan Moore, if they really thought a horse had a chance to win a multi-million-dollar race, or a high-priced race, he'd be on that horse. Would you suspect or no?
He does not have any mounts in this entire card.
I noticed that. He's writing about Randwick races on a blog I saw. So unfortunately, there is not the predictor for us to use here. So that means we get to go to race number 3. That's our next challenge, Thomas. That one is the Godolphin Mile. I guess I know how far that one's going to be, right?
I could never guess. In the middle. But it's also in the dirt.
Yes. So 1 mile. How many damn meters is 1 mile, Thomas? Should have paid attention when we did that in school. All right. Where do I start for?
You're in the chute on the dirt.
Back here. All right. So we're going to start here, and we're going to come all the way back around into that finish line. So basically 1 turn. It's kind of like that Belmont track where they come out of the chute, Tom. Is that right?
Yeah. But this, of course, you're thinking more of the grass races where they have a little more of that weird turning things. This one's actually, that was when Arlington was around originally. The chute was actually in the parking lot and they changed it to be a straight. So it's similar to this type of, so you got a little bit of a turn, and it doesn't really favor the inside, but you never know. It really depends on where your position is. You're going to tuck in and wait and see what you get, but I think you probably got a better chance.
Remember when we had Jose Ortiz on, he talked about these shoots, and even Mike Smith had mentioned something similar to the fact that a lot of times the race is won and lost in getting position in that shoot, so you can come out in a good spot into that turn and get well positioned as you make your way around the track. So
I definitely see that at Tampa. When those turf races when they go out of that chute, there is a definite advantage.
It should be sandy like in Tampa.
Yeah.
Who do you have in this one?
I'll start with 11. Tide Nile is my top choice. He's got took a prep race. He ran in the February Stakes in Tokyo. He ran fourth in that race. He is a Group 1 winner race. He's done it a few different tracks. This is a second up situation. He won a Group 1 off a second up situation. He's faced good horses, running a mile, Shyamalan and Lemon Pop, some of the better Japanese dirt runners. And, he's running the money against them, but I think he'll be on top. I'm going to start. My next choice is going to be the Chilean horse 8, Mufasa, who defeated White Ario last time out at Gulfstream. It was a 7-furlong race. He really got clobbered in the Breeders' Cup Mile. It just was nowhere to be found. He won in Chile before switching to the States. He's run twice, going 7. Hasn't won at the mile yet, but you got to figure they paid a few bucks for this horse. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it handles. I think the one turn is the advantage. And if it was 2-turn mile, I would not have this horse on my ticket. Finally, I'm going to take 13 Raging Torrent as my final choice. Won his last race at Santa Anita with Dettori up. It was a first-time ride for him. He was the favorite in that race, and it was a great one. The Breeders' Cup, he didn't go in the mile. He went in the sprint. And, it was no chance for straight no chaser. But not many of them were in that race, to be honest. I think, again, the advantage is that 1-turn mile. I think that's, the question is, can he stretch out to it? But I think the 1-turn helps.
Acts more like a sprint than a route. That's what we see at Gulfstream Park as well. I'm going to go down here to Sword Point, number 16, and he's 16-1. So our good friend Private Ross would say that is a crypto code. But in any case, this horse might just be one that's meant to run a mile. Tom ran it twice, won them both. But at any other distance, the horse is like, to hell with it. I'm only going to win 1 out of 12 times. So I'm hoping he's a horse for the mile course. Number 13, one that we agree on, Raging Torrent. I feel like the speed figures suggest it should translate. 4 out of the last 5 were in the 100s. Usually those numbers do carry. We'll see if they do on Saturday.
Well,
number
bettors think so.
Yeah, he's one of the favorites now at 4-1, right? Yeah. With Mufasa. I don't trust Chilean horses. I don't know why. Because I don't know. I guess one of mine must have scratched in here. I had the 7 in here. All right, well, he scratched. So I only got 3 picks, like you, Tom. I'm going to have to come through, folks, because I had the 7. He ain't in there. So I'm going to go with a long shot now, Thomas. Number 10, Oasis Boy. The Christophe Soumillon has ridden this horse 3 times before, and those races pretty much sucked. Gets back on today. Why do I think it's not going to suck today, Thomas? Well, because last time out, the horse ran a lot faster, and I noticed in my race notes, when I see that those final times were faster, those horses usually follow up with another good race. So I'm hoping at 33-1, I'm the lone tip that's right, Tom. And I'm glad that we don't have a predictor to tell me just how wrong I am.
Me too.
that I'm wrong, or
We'll save that for the Grand
the
National.
predictor doesn't screw us up. All right.
Yeah, we'll save that for the Grand National.
So now we're going to go to the Quoz Sprint 6 furlongs. Gosh, I wish these were in meters somewhere along the line. They used to be in meters. I remember that. That's why I pulled that one particular map up.
1,200.
1,200 on
down the straightaway.
Bam. So if they're running straight, Tom, I don't really get much in the way of undulations here. I'd imagine in the middle of the desert, just pretty flat. There's probably not much.
There's not much in the way of undulation on this track. It's not like you're in tracks like Newmarket and where you go up and down and around, or at Ascot. Much more straightforward.
Yeah, so you're going to start back there, run to that finish line, and with the straightforward Dubai track on the turf, Tom, do they split or do they just run?
They seem to be just stay right, but there can be a bias, but it'll be next to impossible for us to find it if there is. Where's the good going? Where's the best track? What California Spangles track was just go out for the front and say, "Come and get me," and they didn't. So
it's usually a good strategy if you have that ability. Anybody here you think that does?
Got the speed, and you can measure it, and you're good on the straight. It's an ideal race when he had some experience on the straightaway at Shaheen, so that probably helped. And
who's going to navigate this?
I'm going to start with number 8. Win Chameleon is my top choice, or Carnelia. He started his racing careers really at much longer races, mile plus. He had some success with that. He hasn't won in a while, but all those races are over a mile. And all of a sudden, this 8-year-old, they decided to start running at sprints. So he was last 2 races were sprints. He lost by a neck, and he lost by a 1 and 2.5 lengths. That's not bad. And the other race that he ran was a Group 1, and he ran in 4th of 18 with some trouble in that race. Well, he's 8. maybe he prefers the sprints now as with age. And I think he's getting better and better, even with age. And I decided let's take him at a price because he could upset this field very easily.
As me getting older, I prefer to treadmill, not sprints anymore, just walk.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to be a little chalky. Number 3, How Deep Is Your Love? We've handicapped this horse before, and guess who he's been losing to pretty consistently.
Let me see if I wrote that down. He's probably been losing to, it's going to be a Hong Kong horse.
Kaiying Rising, who's probably the best sprinter in the world right now. He certainly has the track records to prove it. No success, but when the Kaiying Rising wasn't in a Group 3 race that he ran, and he won it. So that should tell you something. He's got 3 races already this year, so yeah, kind of hard to ignore him. And James McDonald, very nice rider, so he'll knows how to handle and knows how to handle the straight. And finally, I will take number 9, Believing. She's a great sprinter who arrives late on the scene. For her, trip is essential. She'll definitely get a trip down the straightaway. But, she's not been finishing better 2nd or 3rd. And I mean, at York, the bias was against her because she had the absolute worst post position and still ran 3rd. So she's very capable of running, no question, and beating the bias, but just not winning. Mm-hmm. The last race was at Longchamp, and it was on the soft going, and she finished 3rd. But again, I don't think that was such a great surface for her. And this will be the first ride for William Buick on her. That may help. You never know.
You never know. Good jockey for sure. I'm going to go regional right here. 9-1, pretty much right in the middle of the betting action so far. If any day is going to be the day, Tom, today will be that day for regional because the horse usually does its best coming off the bench when it fires. So I think that match will be lit, and that horse will fire once again. I'm going to go all the way to the outside. Another crypto code for my good friend Private Ross. Number 11, leaving from the 11th post. It just needs to be 11-1 odds to be a lock come Saturday. But this horse has run 6 times, Tom. There you go, 6 times right over there. So another crypto code. And never a bad start in any of those races. You and I come together on the next horse. I have number 9, Believing. As you pointed out, Tom, that horse is constantly in the money at the highest level of racing in England. And then finally, How Deep Is Your Love? The Bee Gees, right? I was thinking for the longest time, who the hell sings that song? And it just came to me right at the nick of time. And maybe that one will prove to hit the line right at the nick of the time, because it has proven it can win at the Group 1 level in Hong Kong. I really honestly think, who sings that song? And I couldn't remember it. It just really popped in right there at that moment.
Perfect time.
Yes, once in a while. Race 5, we got a lot of races to do today, Tom. Race 5, this one is yes, indeed. We're 1.5 miles. So 1 mile and 1.5 furlongs. The UAE Derby, sponsored by Uramaya. I have no idea what Uramaya is, Tom. Do you?
Nope.
Yeah, I'm not interested either. So where are they going to start this one, my friend? Somewhere on the track.
That's 1,900 meters.
1,900. So they're going to come here, make their way around.
And you're on the dirt. So
yeah,
keep that in mind.
The inside track down here, yes, Evan, I see. Going to start right here. Going to go by the finish line once. You're going to get into that turn kind of quick. So I would imagine that maybe there is a little bit of an inside advantage. If you're to the outside, I'd probably prefer you to have some late legs versus some early speed so you don't get trapped wide around that turn, Tom. Would that be your strategy?
Well, tuck in and see what you get at the end.
Yeah,
if you got enough horse under you, get through traffic and see what you can do.
Yeah, I've seen way too many horses try to go wide from the outside. You go through that turn 4 or 5 wide, and then you got to get position, and it just usually tires them up by the end. Who's going to be the one hit the tape first, Tom?
I'm going to start with number 9. Queen Azteca is my top choice. She began her career in Sweden, and so now she's up against the males, and she's done well at Meydan. She's run 9.5 furlongs. I mean, and winning by 3/4 of a length. It was a decent time, and she's likes this distance. And again, why is she in here? Because she's certainly not going to be one that's going to run the Kentucky Derby. Well, maybe, you never know, but and she's U.S. bred. She's by 3 Chimneys by Sharp Azteca. His offspring are really mixed, whether they can run long or run short. But this one appears to have some interest in running longer. And she's done pretty well. So we'll put her on top. And we're going to take number 4, Flood Zone. Brad Cox horse bringing over. I think he definitely is thinking favoritism here, but also thinking Kentucky Derby with this one. He's run 3 times. He's won 2 of them, and the wins were over 3 lengths. Last race was at Aqueduct. He was definitely the best race in the field, but in that Grade 3 race. But they asked for him to move in that last race. So maybe he was getting a little lazy. I don't know. I didn't watch the replay, but I probably will try to see if I can do that and see what he looks like. He's used this. I mean, this is definitely the route to the Kentucky Derby for this horse because he doesn't have the points.
Mm-hmm.
And you want a gate position, not a bad way to go. Plus, the money's pretty decent in this race, so why not, right?
Give it a whirl.
Yeah, instead of running in the Wood or the Santa Anita Derby, you ship over to UAE for the UAE Derby,
or on Tuesday in the Bluegrass.
Yeah. Florent Giroux is going to be riding as his only mount here, so definitely the favorite without question. And number 2, Don in the Mood, my final choice. I can't leave a Japanese horse off the ticket, and I think this is the best of the bunch. Off that last race, he was pretty good. He chased the Luxor's Cafe, who's in a listed race, and that's a decent horse, decent dirt horse. He's been racing more towards the front, so I kind of like that in this race. I think that will help him. And he did win at 9 furlongs. But his last start was in the mud, and he didn't appear to like that mud. So he won't get mud today. And so I'm going to put him third.
That would be interesting. Well, I'm going to go with Flood the Zone, the Brad Cox, Laurent Giroux combo right there. I don't always trust the speed numbers coming out of Aqueduct. Seems like at times they're inflated. Do you notice that too, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure who they're using to calculate that stuff, but anyhow. But when I look at the fractions merit. So that's why I went with Flood the Zone, and then I just flipped over. We just turned those two horses around. I have Queen Azteca as my second choice. Does have a couple of big wins in a row, and usually big efforts. Indication of horses in top form. Won 3 out of its last 4 races, now or never for Queen Azteca. The 6 horse, Heart of Honor, is next for me. This one's run 5 times, 4 of them at the Meydan track, with 2 wins in 2 seconds. And all of the starts have been solid, so proven he can run at the track as well. And then I have number 1, Admire Daytona, where I went to spring break many, many, many years ago. Last race was much better than it looks, as it was, again, one of those races where the horse posted some faster times, something I'm always interested in seeing. We don't have any. Do you have a best bet for any of this stuff at Dubai tomorrow? We don't have any for any track today, guys, unfortunately.
The next race is my best bet.
Your best bet of the day? All right, Tom. So we'll get to Tom's best bet at Meydan in just a minute. So we're going to go back to 6 furlongs. I think I remember that this is not the this is the Golden Shaheen. So let me change that so that we're in the right place on the screen. I remember 6 furlongs, Tom, being 1,200 meters. I hope I remember that.
You are certainly correct with that. All
right. So again, they're just going to sprint. This one on the turf, right?
No, dirt.
This on the turf. All right, 1,200 meters. So they're going to start here, and they're going to make their way around one time around the turn there. You got a lot of backstretch to work with. So all of that backstretch, you can pretty much get in any position you want. So speed can win, middle of the pack can win, closer can win. Who do you think will win?
Number 9, Straight No Chaser. Kind of hard to pass on that one. And that, be short odds, to say the least. Won his last 3 races. 2 of them one was the Breeders' Cup Sprint. The other was the Saudi Sprint. Those are pretty good races to win. He took in the last race, in the Saudi Cup, he took the lead about 2 furlongs out and was never threatened. And I don't see anybody doing that today. So I'm a short price favorite. He certainly is. Number 11, one of the local horses, Tux, is going to be my next choice. He's been winning his races 3 lengths, and that's 5 races. Really interesting with this 8-year-old, because guess where he started his career? Some obscure track in Russia. So, and I purchased him, and he's basically run at Dubai for his entire career. And the thing with him is, he's got a great record, run really well at this track, but his times are not particularly fast. 110 has been the norm in the last couple of races. Their horses are going to run faster than that. Finally, I'll take 6. Nata Toma, the Wesley Ward horse, end of the season last year, won Grade 1, out coming off its layoff from Dubai, which was nice to see. And then he was the beaten favorite at Keeneland in a Grade 2, and he ran second in that race. And He could do no better than 6 against Straight No Chaser in the Breeder Cup Sprint. He was never in the race, frankly. I think you'll get a better effort out of him today. First up.
Well, I will begin with the same 2 horses in the same exact order. Straight No Chaser. This one at the distance 7 times, 5 of them in the winner's circle or winner's enclosure, or I don't know what they call it over there. If the times travel, much like I expect the speed figures to travel, he, I think, is the fastest horse. I do have Tuz, the obscure Russian horse. Didn't know that. But did win 5 in a row at Maidan, Tom, and none of them were remotely close. And this Tadhig O'Shea seems to have a lot of good horses. Royal Commando, that one scratch, or they just no one put any money on him?
No, just Crone, Jasper Crone.
What's that?
Well, the only scratch was the Japanese horse.
Yeah. Just because there's no odds. So if you make a bet, folks, you're going to get the whole pool if it wins. How about that?
Big bucks.
Big bucks. Remember that game show, Big Bucks? Yes, big bucks. Well, Royal Commando could be big bucks here. Last time out, the horse ran about 2 seconds faster. I think that was the first up. So maybe the horse has found a new form. If that's the case, he will hit apparently at an infinite price. Ain't nobody even put $1 on him yet.
Well, based on those earlier odds, look at those.
66 to 1. Yeah, just there's not even a bet on him. Well, he went to 50 to 1 at point, so someone must have put a nickel on him somewhere.
Yeah.
And then might as well, you got 2 favorites up top. I should also point out, I think this is Chantel Sutherland's return to horse racing after being she was going to go back to horse racing, got suspended for careless riding and back so on Super Chow for Jorge Delgado out of the Florida barn. But anyway, Dark Saffron, the 13, another long shot, 33 to 1. I'm surprised that square isn't blank as well. This horse is another one that showed some faster fractions last out and has been successful at Maidan. 3 races and 2 of them finishing first when they crossed the tape. Oof, I'm getting tired, Tom. This is a long show for Friday.
It sure is.
Yes. All right. Race number 7 is a Dubai turf. 1 mile, 1 furlong. That will definitely be on the turf. And I need my metric converter, Thomas, to tell me 1 mile, 1 furlong is 1,800 meters. All right, so let's go. 1,800 meters on the grass. They're going to start right there. Boom. And they're going to come around. It's 1 turn again, Tom. So long race, but still has some elements of a sprint in that you only need to go around the corner once. Positioning, probably again, since you're starting back here, you can get to where you want to be on the track. Come out of that turn well positioned. So will it be a sprinter? Will it be a closer? Will it be something in between?
It'll be number 8, Romantic Warrior. This guy's really been incredible. Started on the dirt for the first time in the Saudi Cup. And he got beat by not much and coming at the end, but by a neck by for a young. Very impressive. And they were 11 plus lengths in front of everybody else in that field. So he's going to return to the turf where he's been his best. And he's interestingly, he's based in Hong Kong, but he went to Dubai and set the track record for this distance. He's won Group 1s in Australia and Japan too. And so he's always facing the top company. He's been very consistent in Hong Kong as he's gotten older. And the range of his distances have been between 8 and 10 furlongs. The races I remember, I was thinking about it and going back a couple of years, he ran some really good races against Golden 60 at 1 mile. And Golden 60 was a top class sprinter, if you want to call it, running the mile. And he beat him, and then he lost to him too. So they were really good races to watch. Number 2 is Ghost Rider. That's going to be my next choice. He won his first 3 starts of his racing career, and then nothing after that. But he's also been lining up against some of the best in Europe. Luc de Vega, City of Troy, Auguste Rodin, Shin Empire, Los Angeles, Economics. I could keep going. They're not bad horses.
No.
He knows how to win first up. I just have this feeling he may have a really bright future as a 4-year-old. A little maturity, and he's coming right back in there, and I like the price.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, I'm going to take number 11, Liberty Island, who ran second to Romantic Warrior in Hong Kong in one of those races. She's won one bad race in her life, and that was in the Japan Cup, and it was an awful race. She's won. She's been, she's chased horses like Rebel Romance and Equinox. Those are pretty good horses.
Mm-hmm.
She's been in the money all but that one race, and she runs late. So we'll see if she likes that one turn, and she's done it before. So who knows?
Well, I think it's kind of hard to go past Romantic Warrior. Don't know that I've seen a 4-7 favorite before, but all right, well, that's where that horse is at. So let's take a few shots to beat him. Soul Rush, when they ran against each other, really was only a half a length off Romantic Warrior. So it doesn't have a whole lot to make up today to maybe pull off the upset at 11-1. I also have Nation's Pride as a horse that is one that prefers the course. I mean, how often do you get Appleby and Buick at 12-1, Tom? Not very often.
If you do, you're really getting something.
Yes, or it's a really bad horse. And this is not a bad horse.
No, not at all.
And at Maiden, it's been a great horse, as a matter of fact. It's run 4 times, won 3 of them, finished second. Finished third in the other one. And that third was in this race last year. It wasn't by much. And then I also have Liberty Island, Thomas. It's another one that's seen the backside of Romantic Warrior at the end of the race. Wasn't all that far off, but was farther off than Soul Rush. That's why I put Soul Rush ahead. 2 more to go in Dubai before we go to the Grand National, which is a lot of fun. And we actually get to see the predictor for that one, so that'll be very entertaining for sure. That predictor, they should have horses falling down, jockeys jumping off, all kinds of different things. They won't.
Who refuses at the first fence?
Yeah, just stops and looks at it like,
goes, I'm not doing this.
Not today. If there weren't 40 more after it, maybe. But yeah.
Well, and these horses, the minimum age to enter this race, he has to be 7 or older. So it's not like these horses haven't been around the track in their lifetime. And we're not dealing with 2-year-olds. They
look out the window, they see all those gates and everything. Like Rodney Dangerfield said, "Oh, you're going to get it today." All right. This one was 1 mile and 4 furlongs, so 1.5 miles on the turf. All right, so Mr. Converter, 1.5 miles on the turf. We're going to go
2,400, and they'll start a little behind and a whopping 10 meters. So it's just where that start finish is. Yeah.
So 1 complete track, turn around the track, 2-turn race. This one, indeed, you will have to be fit to make those 2 turns. Tom, I always ask you, who will be the most fit?
I'm going to start with number 6, Daniel Delsey. He won his last start as the favorite in Group 2 at Nakayama. He's just, he's a good been a good horse. I mean, he's run 4th to Shen Empire. He's competed at the top level in the group races in Japan. But he's an all or nothing horse. He either wins or he doesn't do anything. So I think he finished 3rd once. So, but, take a price, a little bit of a price, because my next 2 are not going to be a price. And number 4, Rebel's Romance, kind of hard to pass on that one. Won his last start at this distance, and the race before it ran this distance, and it was the Breeders' Cup turf. And guess what it did? It won. And it's won that race twice, and not in consecutive years, but it has won. He's a gelding, so he's got to do something with him. He's won 7 in his last 8 starts. The only run he lost was at Ascot, and nobody could explain what went wrong in that race because it was a mess. Finally, I'm going to take the French horse, Caligan. I always pronounce this one wrong. Calenda Gan. Really interesting. Coming back from a little time off. Last race was at Escott, ran in a Group 1. It lost to Emmet, who I actually had that day. And he, looked good in the race, but just didn't get it done. He's also at York. He ran second to City of Troy. Again, we're repeating horses that are decent, right?
Mm-hmm.
He won at Orel Ascot, going 12 furlongs. He's never been out of the money in his 8 starts. And he, interestingly, will be the favorite over Rebel's Romance.
I'm going to go with a Tom horse once again with Duriza. This horse started its career on fire. They won 4 of its first 5 races, 4 in a row. And then from there, the wheels came off, Tom. Bam. But it looks like after the last race, they tightened up those lug nuts. Signs of life, my good friend Tom's favorite betting angle, and something that I learned and stole and plagiarized from you. So thank you. Number 4, Rebel's Romance, Charles Appleby, William Buick. Again, a dynamic international racing duo. And they love to run this horse at this distance 13 times. Found the tape first in 10 of those. And if you can rerun that Breeders' Cup race, I think it would be 11 of 14. Then the horse that's fun to pronounce, Callan Dagan. I think maybe. Never a bad race, as you mentioned, in its career, Tom. And it did run against City of Troy and only finished a length behind. Some of the same observations that I made. And then finally, I wanted to find something else in this race. It was just kind of tough for me to do. So I just went with the default Shim Emperor. Good horse, for sure. Maybe my finding...
Won nicely last time out.
Yeah. The thing about that, though, Tom, is that the horse doesn't generally make a lot of 2 starts in a row.
No. He gets time off. A lot of time off. So he's either really fit or they're just rolling the dice.
And I have a feeling it's more of the daddy needs some new shoes, because when you look at those second up starts, it almost always regresses, but you can't ignore the class. If today's the time that it doesn't regress, that horse could easily win. And maybe at 5-1, 9-2 with its talent, that would be a steal. All right, last race in Maidan is the one they're all coming for. This is the Dubai. Am I in the right race, Tom?
No, you want to do the Dubai World Cup.
Yes. Did I not change the screen last time in there? Anyway,
I don't think you did.
Yeah, it's lacquer. All right, so the final race, the one they're all coming from, is the Dubai World Cup, sponsored by Emirates Airline. This one is a mile and a quarter furlong, so mile and a quarter. Mile and a quarter on the turf is going to put me around where?
2,000 meters, one turn. No, no, it's not turf. It's a dirt race.
Oh, 2,000 meters.
Yeah, you're going to get the 2 turns.
Oh, yes, it is. I remember from years past. So you're going to start here, going to come, make that turn, come back all the way around. If I remember last year, the horse came from a little bit off the pace to win. I don't remember, Tom. Too many races in my brain, but I would suspect with that long run in that somewhat heavy sandish type dirt, you better have some late legs. And which one do you think will be the strongest coming home?
Kind of hard to pass on number 1 Forever Young. He won his last race over Romantic Warrior. It was, he got on the lead first, got the jump, and won. And he was good, to say the least. His past 6 races, he's won 4 of them, finished 3rd twice. What were the 2 races he finished 3rd in?
Breeders' Cup, no?
Yeah, one's the Breeders' Cup. What's the other one?
The Derby?
Yep.
Yes, when it kind of made it.
Is he dodging competition? Is he dodging any competition?
No.
Nope. So, yeah, is he the best horse in here? Yeah, on paper he certainly is. He's run like the best horse. So, yeah, the price sucks. But what do you expect? Now we'll go a little bit. Number 11, Wilson Tessero is going to be my next choice. And ran 4th to Forever Young in the last start. That was the Saudi Cup. And he was behind by 12 lengths, but there were a lot of horses behind. He's run second twice in group races against Lemon Pop and Crown Pride. Yes, those are good dirt horses in Japan. He's won at this distance before. I think he'll run a good race. And finally, I'm going to take number 8, Rattle and Roll. I sent him to Dubai, to Saudi Arabia before the Saudi Cup, and he won that race pretty easily by over 4 lengths. And then he ran he was 13 lengths behind for a young. So I had problems in this race picking a third horse. So that's why I went with him. And I thought it was interesting that Kenny McPeak is using William Buick to ride. Because Kenny McPeak has never used William Buick. I can't imagine him being available for him for the most part. Mm-hmm. So, must see something. And yeah, it's not a bad rider. So why not at 25-1, right?
That's what one grizzly bear will do for you. It'll up your stature in the international stage. I hate Rattle and Roll, Thomas, for a very personal reason. A couple of years ago, we did a show, and in the course of our show, I said you can single Rattle and Roll in your pick 4, pick 5, whatever you're going to do. And of course, Rattle and Roll won. So, Rich, why do you hate Rattle and Roll? Well, that same day, I entered into a free NHC contest. I had like 3,000, 4,000 people in it. And I bet 20 port instead in that race because he was getting a little bit higher odds. And I figured, why not? Of course, Rattle and Roll won. And I missed qualifying to Las Vegas by about 0.25 points. Had I played Rattle and Roll instead of 20 port, I would have been first out of 4,000. So I hate Rattle and Roll. I really hate myself. It's really the proper answer.
Yeah, that'll frustrate the out of anybody.
Yes, indeed. Well, Forever Young shouldn't frustrate anybody. I think if that horse runs its regular race, I mean, it's really hard to imagine him not running at a level that competes for the win here. It just something has to go wrong, I feel like, for that horse not to at least compete for the win. Imperial Emperor, next on my list of horses to take a look at. Another horse for the course with that Tad Higoshe. Seems to have a lot of good horses. If he has a good day, I'm going to have a good day. At Maidan, 4 times out, 3 of them crossing the finish line first, the other one second. And when this horse scores, races aren't close. So he blows them all out. They're in my love-hate horse. Rattle and Roll. This one, when you look at the late speed figures and a lot of these horses, when I was just kind of walking through how the race sets up, it seemed to me everybody wants to come from middle of the pack or back. There's really not one, I feel like, maybe one, that's going to just head to the lead and say, catch me if you can. But if they're all kind of in a bunch coming home at the end, I don't think there's any question that Rattle and Roll has the most late speed. And finally, the one that I think that has a chance maybe to get out to the lead all by itself and kind of look around and go, is anybody coming? They're not coming yet. Would be Walk of the Stars. So I think that one can get forward if the fractions are right. I know it's going to be a long, grueling, tough race. If it can get the right fractions, maybe it just gives up the lead late. And if it gets even better fractions, maybe it just goes coast to coast. All right, Tom, that wraps it up for... No, for Maidan, for Dubai. Yes.
For Dubai, we've done not quite wrapped up.
We have another race.
Yes. Well,
I know we're going to do the
Arabian pick. Come on.
I told you the horse that crosses the line first. That's going to be your winner. All right. So now I'm going to press the button this time and be correct. We're going to go to the Grand National at Aintree. As Thomas mentioned, there are a zillion horses in here. 33, 34 horses?
There'll be 34 starters.
I actually have the map for this one, too. Look at this, Tom.
Yeah.
If I were a horse and I were
looking at it, we got to go around twice.
Yes. So if I were looking at a horse, and I was looking at this, I would be like, yeah, I'm taking the day off too. So by the time they hit this 6th jump or the 22nd jump, 34 horses, what's the over under and how many will be still have a jockey and still in the race at this point? Half?
If yeah, sometimes not, but yeah, I think at least half of them. Again, a lot of them are. It's going to be the first couple of fences, and then it'll get a little more interesting.
Yeah, you got high fences over here. You got water. You got all kinds of different things.
Yeah.
You got ditches you got to contend with. I mean, it's like that. It's an obstacle course of horse racing with a little bit of roller derby and demolition derby.
Yeah, the run to the finish is uphill.
So, yeah, after running 4 miles.
Yeah, so it's pretty wild.
All right, well, Tom usually picks 3. Today he's going to pick 5. I'm going to stick to my 4. So anyway, all right, let's go. What do you got?
I'm going to start with Intense Raffles. My first one, and I didn't put the numbers on, so I apologize.
So you're going to make me look around. All right, so I'm going to be like the horses jumping hurdles to find your Tom's picks. All right, so I found it. Number 19 does have a tip too.
Yeah, it's won a similar type race, the Irish Grand National. Previous start ran second in a race that is considered a good prep for this race. So, and horses that have won that race or have been running in that race have won the Grand National. He's a 7-year-old, so he's on the young side of this field. But the profile of a Grand National winner is what he's got, and I think he'll be a very good horse to bet on. And at 14-1, that's not so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Hewick is going to be my next choice. He needs favorable ground, which he's going to get. And he does better, significantly better. He's won a few notable races, including some great ones. He's one who's going to place more forwardly. So don't be surprised if he's in the first 5. That tends to be his style, and he does pretty good doing it. Min Ella Cooner gonna be my next choice, and that's the 8. It's running well this season, but not winning yet. And it's got a 3rd last month, 4th earlier. This is a horse that wants distance, and certainly going to get it this race. Hitman gonna be my next choice. He's won 3 times in his 23 starts over the fences, mainly at shorter distances. He runs okay at times, and then he does nowhere to be found in other races. He's definitely a long shot, as you can tell. One of the comments I read was he may be lucky if he makes it around the track the second time. Well, he may run the first 15 and then decide I'm done. So that's a concern with him. And finally, I'm going to take Percival Legogus. It's been running well and winning, keeps improving. I think it's got a very strong chance, and the odds kind of indicate that. But we're going to get double-digit odds on whoever you bet. So.
Well, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, you got 5 horses. I got 4, and not a one of them match. I think
that does not surprise me.
All right, so I'm going to go with this one, number 3. I was reading a bunch of comments in here. Nick Rocket, they were going to put him in the Shelton Cup, but they decided no. They targeted this race. Maybe the trainer, W.P. Mullins, who's also the jockey. No. We got to be father or son or something.
Yeah, Mullins is the trainer, and he wins top. He's the top Irish jumper winner. Yeah, Yeah, he does very well.
Well, he skipped the race to put a horse in this race, so we'll see if he absolutely got that right. Next time for me, I think this one's probably going to be the favorite. I could be wrong. Stumptown. It's
been bouncing around between a couple horses. The one that won last year, I Am Maxima, has been in there as one of the favorites.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's certainly going to be a shorter price, but again, you can get horse at 12-1, and you can do all 30 fences. and win, that's pretty good.
Well, the other thing about this one is that there was a horse that won another race. I forget the name now. It was one of those like "I love you very much," but all the letters are together. Who won a race, and then coming out of that race, the bookies made that horse the pre-race favorite. Well, the trainer put that one aside to put this one in. So the trainer's making a call which one he thinks perhaps has the best chance to win. Number 17 is my next pick. Can Do Kid. And the reason I went with Can Do Kid is, again, I'm going to go with the trainer. Trainer says, hey, I want to put this horse in this race because this horse is ideal for this race. Well, we'll see if this trainer knows what the bleep, as you put it earlier in the day, he's talking about, Mr. Paul Nichols. And then finally, number 6, 26, Meeting of the Waters. Another 25-1 shot. Well, Tom, one thing we know for sure is this horse can finish this race. You know why?
He's run it before.
He finished 7th last year. So he beat a whole hell of a lot of horses last year, just needs to beat a few more. And only needs to move up 1 or 2 spots to finish in the superfecta. And I'm calling it right now. Ice cold superfecta, 3, 10, 17, 26. And if that happens, folks, I am going to probably quit horse racing because it'll never get any better than that.
Yeah, you have to retire.
I would have to retire. And the sad thing is I'll wake up too late and forget to bet it, and I'll feel pretty odd. All right, well, I think
we do have a predictor.
This is going to be the grandest predictor of all, Tom. And the predictor says, boom, Vanillier. Neither one of us have that one. 3 under through 5. We don't have that one. Who's named after a golfer, apparently, who owns part of that horse. Hitman. I think you mentioned that one, Tom. That's right.
Yeah.
Monbeg Genius. No, didn't make the call there. Stumptown. So you have one and I have one. They both look like they're going to dead heat for second. Not bad. Well, maybe third, because it looks like Iroko might get the call over top of it.
Yeah, right now that one's the favorite.
10-1. Although I suspect that the predictor's odds of picking this race are probably just about as good as yours and mine.
Yes, most likely.
Yes, maybe even a little worse.
Well, if nothing else, we gave people tips of what not horses to play, or who's going to be refused at the first or second fence.
Well, hell, I got one that nobody's even bet on yet. So at Dubai, so I don't know. Maybe you just circle that one as your single in your things. If it hits, you're going to have the biggest weekend of your lifetime. Next weekend, Tom, it can't be as fun or as entertaining as the Grand National or amount of money that we'll see in Dubai, but it'll be fun nonetheless for 4 and Friday. Who do we have on that schedule, or we haven't figured that out yet?
Haven't quite figured it out, but it'll be either Shaheen or we'll go down to Australia.
All right, so Hong Kong or hanging by your feet. All right, that wraps it up for this week of 4 and Fridays, folks. Again, there are some free picks, as always, at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. There's a link in the description. I'll also timestamp the races on YouTube so you can come back and watch each race at your leisure, our analysis, so you can get a good laugh or a good payout.
Yeah, you had to put up with us for an hour.
Yeah,
so it's much better to mark the times and just go to what you're interested in.
Yeah. I was interested in doing the Toyota Bluegrass on Saturday, but it got moved to Tuesday. Wagering guide available over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet, probably later today or tomorrow. I will post all of our thoughts for today, along with the commentary at horseracingtoday.net. It'll be right there on the front page. Click on that. It'll take you to the story itself. There will be a race replay right there, along with Tom's comments and mine, just like Terry and I do every day. While you're there, no matter where you are in the world, hit that HRT get button right there. Come on over here, get yourself a Horse Racing Today t-shirt. I think I'm going to have to make one that says 4 and Fridays, Tom, for sure. And then
probably be a good idea.
Yeah, I think it'd be a great idea. 4 and Fridays. We'll figure out how to do that. It's a great way to support
on the back
show.
of it. It'll say "Kick me"
with an arrow. Yeah. We should put that. Actually, we should put that on the front. Kick me with an arrow.
We are the horse's ass.
Yes, well, we can do that too. Well, we could put that "Kick me" and right below it, "I am the horse's ass." I think that would work out great. Again, you can support the show there. If you haven't done so already, see scrolling down there on the bottom, hit the subscribe, hit the like button, share our content We greatly appreciate that. Any interactivity boosts our search engine score. So when people search on X or Facebook or Twitter, or that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, they're more likely to find our content. Any final thoughts, Tom, after 1 hour together before we get up and get out of here?
Well, we can't say that there isn't a little bit of money being thrown around in Dubai. And if you can get some nice winners here, I think the one thing I sometimes neglect to look at close enough is some of the local horses, because they can hit the boards, and usually is one of the minor placing positions, and they definitely come in at prices.
Yeah, that's why I put a little bit of emphasis on horses for the course. Well, whether you're riding one of those horses over those million hurdles and you fall off, or you're putting some money in Dubai, but they can't do it. Right? They can't bet there, right, Tom? They just run the horse races.
Grand National, on the other hand, will be a well bet race.
Yeah, I think I read it's the most well bet race in England. I'm not 100% sure about that. But up there.
Yeah, it's right up there. It's got to be. I mean, I know the Derby gets a good, and of course, collectively, Royal Ascot attracts some attention.
Yeah, there's just so many more races there, though, that people spread out a little more at Ascot versus the one big one, which is kind of almost like to me, the Grand National is kind of like the pick three with the balls bouncing around, right? You just pull numbers out of a hat, hope you got the right ones.
Number 34.
Yes. I'm playing 34, 8. You should just play the same numbers every year until you get it right. All right. No matter what you're doing, whether you're pulling numbers out of a hat, playing the same numbers every year, just trying to make the best of a good weekend. We certainly hope you have God's grace, God's favor, until we get back together somewhere in the world next Friday. May everything that you do end up in
winners in closure.
Indeed. Enjoy your weekend.